left the church twice and I've still found Jesus where they told me I wouldn't. Hi, my awakener, and if you're new here, I'm Alicia, your Christ consciousness bestie, and I help you to embody and manifest from Christ consciousness, explore hidden truths, and reprogram the subconscious beliefs that are keeping you stuck. I found Source, and I am here to guide you back to your divine identity. So really quickly, let's get into some story time about how I found Jesus where they told me I wouldn't. I was raised Catholic, and every Sunday we would sit in the pews, reciting the prayers, kneeling to God that we were taught was above us, judging us, watching us. And at 5 years old, I had a completely different experience that contradicted everything I was taught. Jesus came to me and told me that he was human and that I had direct access to God just as he did. And at the time, I didn't understand what he meant because this was the opposite of what I was being taught. But it planted a seed within me. And even as I continued to practice Catholicism, going through all the motions, there was a part of me that was secretly questioning everything I was being taught. And as I got older, Jesus would appear to me over and over and over again. And each time he would whisper the same message, that I would help restore his true message, that I was meant to help people remember who they are. But I would just brush it off. Like, who was I to believe that I was capable of such a thing, that I was equal to Jesus? That Catholic programming was so strong and deeply embedded with guilt, unworthiness, and the belief that we were born sinners needing to earn love. So I stayed silent, but I studied. I read all world religions: Judaism, Islam, Hindu, Buddhism, Zoroastrianism, ancient religion. I was trying to understand and figure out the truth, not follow blindly. Then at 20 years old, I became pregnant with my daughter, and that changed everything for me. Catholicism told me that my daughter was born in sin, that because I wasn't married, I was basically a disgrace. But when I looked at her, all I saw was love. And I thought, how can a child be born a sinner? There was no way I was going to raise my daughter in this system, that she had to prove her worth, that she had to prove she was worthy of love. So I left, and that was the first time I left the church. Then years later, after meeting my husband, who was a Christian, I gave it another try because I thought maybe I was missing something. During that time, he was going through a difficult time, and I wanted to support him spiritually. I began attending a non-denominational Christian church, and at first it felt okay, but I already knew the Old Testament from Judaism, and the contradictions were glaring. And when the church read from the Old Testament, I thought, how? The Jews didn't believe that Jesus was the Messiah, and Jesus came to dismantle the temple system. But I would kept hearing the same message, that Jesus died for your sins. He is the way, the truth, and the life. And to be saved, you must go through him. And no matter how hard I tried to believe, it wouldn't land. I would listen to Christian worship like Brandon Lake, Phil Wickham, Elevation Worship. I would watch Stephen Furtick. Then I remembered something I had experienced years before. I had a direct encounter with Source, a brilliant white sphere of light. This is the light that Jesus spoke of 101 times in the New Testament. But I didn't just read it, I lived it. When I finally decided to share my message, I was being led to the Gnostic Gospels. When I found the Gospel of Thomas, it was like reading something my soul has always known. Because even in there it says, when the disciples asked Jesus where they come from, he says, you come from the light, where the light came into being from itself by itself. And that's when it clicked. Everything that I experienced before even finding the Gospel of Thomas is what I was shown throughout my life, where Jesus told me that he was human. I had direct access to God. Guess what? The Gospel of Thomas confirms that. When I met Source, Source was this androgynous light that was emanating unconditional love. Guess what? The Gospel of Thomas confirms that. Now, after you understand the Gospel of Thomas, then you go back to the New Testament and see what's written in Matthew and Luke. You start to understand that the Gospel of Thomas is actually the Gospel of Q. And Jesus was trying to teach you how to awaken your inner divinity, to connect you to Source itself. This is where I found Jesus outside of the church, and you can too.